Now, let's talk about the Senate. The Senate has officially begun public hearing sessions on the comprehensive review of the 1999 Constitution. And that review aims to address critical reforms that could reshape the country's governance structure. The Southwest Zonal hearing opened on Friday in Lagos, setting the stage for a nationwide debate on proposals spanning electoral reforms, state policing, local government creation, and fiscal policies. The two-day event marks the Senate's first public forum on the push for constitutional review, coinciding with similar hearings in other geopolitical zones, except the Northwest, where proceedings were postponed in respect of the recent death of renowned Kano businessman and philanthropist Aminu Dantata. Meanwhile, among a plethora of demands that featured at the various public hearings held on Friday, those angling for more states, local government areas, and more elective and appointive seats for women stood out. Some advocacy groups from Nigeria's northeast region seized the opportunity to renew calls for the creation of 4 additional states, including Savannah, Amana, Katagum, and Muri. At the same Northeast public hearing, several women groups highlighted the long-standing call for women to be accorded their right of place in politics and how to move the country forward, having acquitted themselves outstandingly across all sectors, and considering their roles as pivots of peace and the family unit in Nigeria. In a related development, the Senate Committee on Constitution Review has assured Nigerians that the current amendment of the Constitution will be concluded and transmitted to state houses of assembly before the end of 2025. The Senate leader, Okoyemi Bamidele, who gave the assurance on Saturday, said the committee is working towards finalizing the harmonized report and meeting its legislative timeline for submission. Since 1999, the National Assembly has altered the document 5 times, though some items proposed for amendment were defeated at the state legislatures. Huge sums have also been expended for the exercise, with the federal legislature budgeting separately for it. Lawyer and public affairs analyst Ernest Ufeli joins me now to offer his thoughts on the ongoing attempt to review the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Good to see you, Ernest Ufeli, on This Day Live. The last time we spoke was, I think, on radio, right? Yeah. So it's good to see you here on television.
Yes, the name is Evans Ufeli.
Oh,
Ernest
okay. Evans Ufeli, okay. My apologies, Evans Ufeli. Now, your thoughts.
Thank you.
On Constitution review, Constitution amendment.
Yes, the 1999 Constitution as amended has received 5 amendments so far. And these amendments are critical. I mean, we have countries that have 24, 25 amendments because there is no foreseeable end in law. A lawmaker, a draftsman cannot sit in 2025 and foresee what the world will look like in the future, the long future. So because law is dynamic and society is dynamic, laws must, as a matter of necessity, is subjected to amendment to reflect the current dynamism of the level of things in society. So for the 1999 Constitution, the modalities for amending the Constitution is predicated on Section 9, subsection 2 and 3 of the 1999 Constitution, which Section 9, subsection 2 gives an elaborate discourse on general amendment of the sections, which it says that when such proposal is brought up, you require two-thirds majority of the National Assembly, that's both the upper house and the lower house, and a two-thirds majority of the State House of Assembly's concurrence is required. That is for general amendments. Then the Section 9, subsection 3 now made provision for a broader way to look at it. Once the amendment borders on the creation of new local government, creation of states, border adjustment, state creation, and some sundry issues, then you require what we call 4/5, okay? 4/5 of the entire both upper and lower house of the National Assembly and two-thirds majority of the State House of Assembly's concurrence is required for that amendment to sail through. So from the list we have now in the current amendment, we have items on both section and subsection, both section 9.2, which is the general, and section 9.3, because there are issues of state creation and local government in this current proposal. And so this is going to be very rigorous. As for those items that can take general amendment, we also know that it's rigorous because the state concurrence is required and upper and lower house is also required. So it's going to be tough because when it comes to amendment of the Constitution in this manner, it requires not voice voting now. You require physical or electronic voting. In this case, digital voting, that's what is required. Because voice vote cannot fix in concrete terms what is required in this, because they have to do a head count on all the issues put together. You remember the last time this was done, some lawmakers voted for and voted against. Some were undecided. And we could trace the lawmakers from the digital records. And that is how this is going to be. For a proper constitutional amendment to take place, there must be definite counting on the issues under reference so that they can separate those that fall under general amendments and those that fall under the amendment in section 9, subsection 3 that require 4/5 majority of the member of the House and 2/3 majority of the State House of Assembly's concurrence.
Specific thoughts on specific issues. One, the proposal by those who are arguing for those proposals for the creation of 40 additional states, 18 additional local governments, and then the big issue about women representation and state police. You can take them in seriatim, one after the other. That is.
Well, for the creation of additional 40 states, I think that is bogus. That, for me, is, I don't know how practicable that is, because I think we should even merge up the states and form perhaps 6 geopolitical regions for easy administration, because by the time you create 40 more states and create more local governments and all that, then the number in the House of Assembly will increase. Already we're saying that we need to cut the cost of governance. In this regard, the number will increase, and you need to do more, you need to spend more. And you know, the resources from that angle is on first line charge. So whether the country is collapsing or not, they must pull that resources out. So I think we should look carefully at that. I mean, we don't need a State House of Assembly that is that bogus. 360 and you put them together, you are going overboard. I mean, even the United States, how many do they have with 51 states? And you look at their legislature and look at ours, and you look at what it takes to run that assembly. So I think the creation of more states might be convoluted, might lead to more problem, as it were. Even though there are people who say that, no, it's important that we have that 40 states. But after the creation of this 40 states, agitation will arise again for the creation of more states. And creation of states and creation of state and creation of state over and over and over again does not seem to me like the problem of the country. I think the problem of the country has to do with the inability of government to, take adequate care of the economy and the masses. That is what the problem is. Okay, so we should expend legislative time on making laws that will pull Nigerians out of poverty rather than making laws that will escalate the creation of states and overcast the economy into doldrum. I think we need to think on this very, very carefully. And I believe that the lawmakers will do as they are constituted by law to look into this matter. For the one that has to do with the women and all that, I think that is fine. It's important for you to create room for that to happen, for us to have inclusion in the process. But for the state creation and for the local government, more local government, in my state, we're talking about the fact that we need additional state and all that, but when you look at it nationwide, every state, you now have one or two. At the end of the day, you don't have, there's no rallying point. This whole thing might collapse under a contradiction that is unbelievable. If we don't think through this proper, I stand corrected, but that is my opinion. I just feel that something is not right with that whole creation thing.
Okay, but before I let you go, Ufeli, I'd like to ask you, which state is yours? Because you are saying, even in my state, which state is that? Let us know.
And yes, I'm from Delta State, Ondokwa West Local Government Area, and that part of the country actually need the Anioma State. But we need the Anioma State, but if we get it, and every other state gets 1, 2, and 3 and all that, are we still going to hold this whole thing together? I am not against the Anioma State per se, but I'm also saying that what is the best way to, get this thing done in a way that we are not just chasing that we want to, because the truth is that in as much as equity is very important, fairness is important because of the well-constituted agitations that we have, okay? It's also important that we look through this through the lens of proper management. It's not just enough to make laws. Lawmaking should be backed up by cost-benefit analysis. And a cost-benefit analysis is what you do when you have a situation that you have to take a decision looking at the far-reaching implication and the cost thereof vis-a-vis your ability to manage what is available at hand right now. I don't think we're in that place. I don't think we're in that place where we can manage this thing we're trying to do. Okay. That is also the reason the Constitution have made it so stringent in terms of the amendment in place too. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay, thank you very much, Ufeli. On that note, I would like to say we'll take a short break now on This Day Live, the Sunday talk show.